Here's the biggest myth about productivity, that it means doing more and sleeping less. It doesn't, it means building a system. One Skillshare class teaches you to build that system end to end, and 152,000 students have already taken it. That's a heck of a sample size. This is Mastering Productivity. Create a custom system that works, taught by Thomas Frank, 10 lessons, 65 minutes, and every tool involved is free. Let's dig in. Here's the plan, the 6 modules of his system, the instructor's receipts, what the review data says, and whether it's worth an hour of your life. Simple plan, big payoff. First, the map. The whole class builds one connected system with 6 modules: tasks, calendar, notes, files, email, and upkeep, the habits that keep it alive. Each module gets its own build and they all feed each other, nothing exotic, just connected. And the key word is custom. He demos Todoist, Google Calendar, Evernote, Drive, and Gmail, but nothing is mandatory if you already have apps you like. The system bends to them, 0 new subscriptions required. The premise, in his own words: productivity is not about getting more work done or putting in more hours. That's the myth this whole class quietly dismantles. The real goal is control. So Chapter 2, who's teaching? Thomas Frank, YouTuber, author, and entrepreneur, a man who has made being organized his entire career. His channel taught study skills and productivity to millions for a decade. And the receipts are simple: over 1.2 million followers when this was filmed, and a business run on this exact system, which you watch on screen. The class is the system he actually lives in. That's the difference. You're not watching slides about productivity. You're watching his real task lists, his real calendar, and his real inbox. The actual machinery doing its job. It's oddly reassuring to see. Inside, it's 65 minutes across 10 lessons, a short philosophy up front, then 4 full builds: tasks, calendar, notes, and files, then email, quick capture, and the review day. Scan the contents and one thing jumps out. The 4 builds run about 10 minutes each. That's real setup time, not summary time. You follow along click for click, and by the end of each lesson, that module of your system is actually running. Watch one lesson, finish one piece. By lesson 6, half your system exists. And the format helps: live demos in the real apps, so you can pause, copy the setup, and move on. No filler, no theory dumps, just setup you can mirror in real time. Build one, task management. The rule: every task gets out of your head and into one trusted list. Written clearly enough that future you knows exactly what to do. Projects keep work and life separated. Due dates keep it honest. And the demo lists include Magic 210 and Nunchucks 403, classes he definitely took. Build 2, the calendar, and the distinction matters. The task list says what needs doing. The calendar says when it happens. He sets up multiple calendars for the different buckets of life, recurring events for the routines, and defends a hard line between appointments and to-dos. Google Calendar is his choice, but any calendar works fine. Once it's set, your week finally has a shape instead of just a direction. Now the big middle of the class, builds 3 and 4. Together they give you what he calls a second brain, a place outside your skull that remembers everything for you. The notes build first, one searchable home for everything worth remembering. Notebooks for structure, search for speed. He demos Evernote and points at OneNote and Notion as equally good brains. The goal is simple: stop asking your head to store things. Then digital files, a simple folder structure, school, work, life archive, with cloud sync through Drive or Dropbox underneath. His stress test is blunt: if the laptop goes out the window, you lose nothing. That's the standard the build aims for: boring and bulletproof. And then the shortest, most satisfying lesson: physical files. An inbox tray, a few labeled folders, and a scanner for anything important. 4 minutes of setup, and the paper pile on the counter is gone for good. Small lesson, weirdly life-changing result. The back half opens with email, and the target is inbox 0, not a myth, a routine. You process the inbox instead of checking it. Everything handled gets archived. Anything needing real work becomes a task in the system built to hold it. He's clear it isn't his invention, just the version that sticks. Your inbox becomes a room you can leave. Then quick capture, maybe the most underrated habit in the class. Ideas don't arrive at your desk, they arrive in cabs, on planes, and in the middle of the street, so he builds a capture habit measured in seconds. Thought to system before it evaporates. Paper gets the same treatment, scans straight into the second brain, fast in, so nothing brilliant dies on a sidewalk somewhere. Capture first, sort later. Lesson 9 is the one most systems die without: the review day. Every system drifts toward chaos. His word for it is entropy, so you prune on a schedule. Dead lists deleted, stale tasks cleared. His own example is perfect. He found a to-do list for a trip to Iowa, a trip he had already taken. We've all got an Iowa list somewhere. And that's the real insight of the whole class. A system you don't trust is a system you quietly stop using. The review day is what keeps the trust, a short block on the calendar, recurring, non-negotiable, and every list stays current, which means your brain can finally do the thing it's been waiting to do. Let go. That release is what productivity was supposed to feel like. By lesson 10, the whole stack is online, tasks feeding the calendar, capture feeding the notes, files syncing quietly underneath, and a review day keeping every part honest. 6 modules, 1 machine, built in about an hour of follow along, and it hums. And his rollout advice is the reason this one sticks. Don't build everything tonight, adopt one piece a day. For a week, his words, keep things light and doable, a system installed gently. Is a system still standing next month? Gentle beats ambitious, every single time. Best of all, the architecture outlives the apps. Swap Todoist for anything, swap Evernote for anything. The principles stay, which means you learn this once properly and keep it for the rest of your working life. Apps are fashion, architecture is forever. Learn the architecture. So, does it deliver? 93% of students said the class met or exceeded expectations, fully half said exceeded. The crowd seems fairly convinced. And the most liked board is the flattest we've charted. Clarity of instruction leads with 3,700 votes. But engaging teacher, actionable steps, organization, production quality, and helpful examples all land within 10% of it. 6 tags, 1 verdict. That evenness is the story. Students couldn't find a weak spot to complain about, so they praised everything evenly. For a course asking for an hour of your time, that's remarkable. Consistency like that is earned. So who's it for? The overwhelmed. People with too much in the air and nowhere trusted to put it down. Students and jugglers, school, work, and side projects at once, and system rebuilders whose last setup quietly rotted. If your current system already works, skip this. Because this class never promised to make you busier, it promised something better, and it says so plainly, and the closing line nails it. Not more hours, fewer cracks. A system that catches every task, every idea, and every file, so your head doesn't have to. Once yours is running, you'll wonder how you ever carried all of it in your memory. That's the entire promise, and it's a good one. So the verdict, worth 65 minutes. Absolutely, you leave with a running system, tasks, calendar, notes, files, email, plus the 2 habits that keep it alive. It's included with a Skillshare membership and there's a free trial. So the hour is the only real cost. 1 hour for years of not dropping things. That trade wins. Few courses pay for themselves this quickly. And don't go searching for the class. The link in the description gets you in free through Skillshare. Tap it, press play, then build 1 module tonight, just 1. Future you says thanks, loudly. 1 module, 20 minutes. Go, see you in the next review.